Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Design Recharge. I'm Diane Gibbs, I'm your host, and I'm joined by my friend Dustin Lee, and I don't have to practice saying his name. Lots of people I can't pronounce their name, and next week is one of them, but today I can say Dustin's name, so maybe you've heard of Dustin. Chris Bernal, I don't know if you know him or you're just saying that, but he is amazing. I can't wait to tell you. He is an awesome designer, and he makes products for us, so I'm excited to have him on. Thanks, Dustin, for coming.
Thank you for having me. It's been great getting to know you, and I'm excited to finally be on the show. So, thank you.
Yay, me too. All right, so we always start off with kind of like your background, and you can always just, everybody can say hey in the chat. You can ask questions in the chat, and I will try to filter those through. We've got a bunch of questions to ask him. So, but you can also say where you're coming in from. So if you want to say hey in the chat, I will try to read those off. Dustin can also read them as well. So, but go ahead and say hey over there. Thanks for everybody who's joining in. But tell us a little bit about your background. And you have this love for like 20th century, mid 20th century design. So where did that kind of start?
Yeah, at first I wasn't sure where, and then I started thinking about it a lot, and I think the reason that I love that design is because when I was a little kid, I spent a lot of time with my grandmother, and she had a closet, and she had all of these like board games and books and different things, and they were all things that she had, I'm assuming, used with my mom. And so I remembered seeing those things and just had these really positive memories of them. And I think that now when I see that stuff, it kind of like is one of those nostalgic things from my childhood, even though it's before my time. That, and I think I've just always been drawn to it. I think that before I knew what graphic design was, like I was doing graphic design and not knowing it. Like I remember making party flyers in college, and I just was trying to make it look really cool. Or when I was a little kid and I would clean my room, I remember making myself like a little business card that like gave myself some sort of cool title for like cleaning my room. So I think I was always drawn to that, and I was always drawn to like consumer packaging and design. So I think that's where it came from.
So we would do dorky things like that, me and my sister. Did you have any siblings that were in with you on this design stuff?
I did, yeah. My little brother, we used to have like with the cleaning our room thing, we had a little box, like a cardboard box I put up on the wall. It was kind of like, where you click in with your time card. So like we had our cards, and like you could put your card in when you were cleaning your room and stuff like that. So yeah, I think he just followed along with me because I was his older brother. But yeah.
He punched in the time clock too. But is he a designer? Did he follow in your footsteps in art and design?
I mean, we were both musicians growing up, and we both played in bands. And then he ended up becoming a software engineer. So I mean, we've worked on WordPress projects together and different things. So yeah, we kind of I went the more artistic direction, and he went the more technical direction. But yeah, there's definitely parallels between that.
Well, cool. All right, so where were you in life? I know a little bit about your story, so I wanted you to share it a little bit. So where were you in your life when you started your business, and why selling products instead of just doing design?
Yeah, so I had worked in the banking industry for, I think, 5 or 6 years before I became a designer, and I really didn't like it. It wasn't for me. It was, the most corporate of corporate things you could do. And I remember right before I got married, I said, I feel like before we buy a house or before we try to do any of these things, I need to get out of this job. I've always wanted to do design, and I had no education in that. My education was in business. So my wife was amazing, and she was okay with me quitting my job, and I quit, and I went to community college. I couldn't afford to get more debt going to a design school. So I went to community college for 1 year, and she, worked and supported us while I did that. And then I made the huge mistake of trying to freelance right out of 1 year of community college. And I just got like a spanking. Like I did Craigslist jobs, and I did 99 designs, and it was just awful. I mean, I learned a lot the hard way. So that's how I got started in it. And then what happened is finally, after a couple years of just really struggling, I ended up working for a company called Paid to Exist, which is a blog. It's still online. Highly recommend it if you're someone looking to, do something you're passionate about. The whole point of the blog is to help people get what they love and make money from it. So that's called paytoexist.com. It's ran by one of my best friends, Jonathan Mead, and I started working for him as a designer, but I ended up doing a lot of marketing too, online marketing. And so that helped me with my design skills, but also helped me with my marketing skills. And I was, getting paid obviously to do that. And then we decided it would be a great idea to make a startup together and build software. And neither of us are coders. We'd never built software. So we started this software company called Playbook. And what it was supposed to be was basically software to help entrepreneurs do things like different goals with recipes. So like how to build your email list, and you would have like a recipe with like checklists and different things like that. Anyways, like we were like, we're gonna have this up in 3 months, and like we're gonna be rolling in money, having money fights. And like 7 months later, like I haven't made like any money for like 7 months, and I'm committed to this. I'm committed to doing this 40 hours a week, because this guy is my good friend. We're in it together, and I have a daughter on the way, and she's going to be born in like a few months. And I was $30,000 in debt. We just had no income. Like I didn't know what to do, and really out of total desperation, like just because have you ever been to that point where you're just cornered and you're just like, I have to do something? Like at this point, anything I will do that I have to do. And for me, the only thing I could do was get up earlier and try to make money somehow. So I started getting up 3 hours earlier, and going down to the Starbucks and just making design products and hoping to put them online. I thought maybe I'll make like $150, $160. At this point, I was just hoping to save some face, like just to like keep some of my pride. I'm about to have a daughter, and I'm feeling like a total failure. So, and remember too, like I think like most people, I didn't think there was a lot of money in making design products. Like this was totally desperation. And I put them out, and I put my first one out. It was a logo pack, very hipster logo pack of like 8 logos, and it made like $837 in the first month. So I was like what? Like it didn't even make sense to me. Like I honestly, I thought like at first that like maybe my mom and like my different family members were buying these things to like make me feel better. I seriously did. Like at first, like I was like, I'm gonna play this cool because I think this is just my friends supporting me, or maybe like my mom and like my relatives. It was crazy. But
it's a really good mom.
Yeah. Like it didn't turn out to be that, but I thought maybe it was that. And then I released a product called, I believe it was called Retro Lift, and it was the first time I really was myself when I created a product, and I really like attached onto this retro theme at that point. And I remember being at the Starbucks working on other products, and they released it on Creative Market, like in their newsletter to like 100,000 people. And my phone just blew up. It was like what are those things in casinos? A slot machine. It's like, ding, 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 ding. And every time it went off, it was like $10 in my pocket. And by the end of the day, I'd made $1,500 approximately. And by the end of that month, I had made over $12,000. And yeah, that was just like stupid, crazy money to me. Like I had never seen that much money in my life, and it totally saved us.
You knew you didn't have that many friends, so you knew you were creating something else.
I didn't have that many friends, and I didn't have any friends that had that kind of money lying around to like buy digital goods. So it was amazing. It was like truly a blessing because my daughter was born, and I was able to enjoy it and not be stressed about money or feeling inadequate, as I spent time with my daughter. So it really was like a total blessing. And I basically, once that happened, I just devoted myself to focusing on that. I realized I had something. So
how many months? So from the get-go of you making $837 with the logo pack, and then you created the Retro Lift, and it went crazy good. And then when did you say, hey, buddy, you're really good friends, we're still really good friends, but I'm going to go out on my own?
It was probably about 90 days from the time I started Retro Supply, and we were both burnt out, and I think we were both waiting for the other one to say uncle.
Mm.
And so he wanted to have the call, and he was like, dude, he's like, I've got to cut my losses. And I was like, I'm so glad you said that, because I need to cut my losses because I need to spend more time on this thing that's making money.
Right.
So it was about 90 days.
So you have a business degree. I always thought, I went to school. My dad made me do business, and he let me do graphic design. And then I made 2 Ds in college, economics and accounting. And so he let me drop the business. And now I kind of wish I had taken it, because there was so much stuff that I think if I could have gotten through those crappy classes, that I would have really enjoyed some of the marketing. But that's one of like your superpowers, I think, is that you do have that kind of business sense. So how has that been such a benefit for you as a designer?
Yeah, that's like been a total game changer. And for me, I'm the first to admit I'm not the most amazing designer. In fact, when I went to Weapons of Mass Creation a couple days ago, everyone there was a better designer than me. I'm not the best designer, but I'm an adequate designer, and there's some things I can do very well. But easily the thing that made the difference for me, because there's so many people selling design products and not making any money from it, easily what my strategic advantage was I knew how to market to people. I knew how to attract people, how to sell to them, and how to communicate what I had to offer to them. And most of that wasn't from business school. That was actually from working for Pay to Exist and from reading books and blogs. Probably 80%, 85% of what I knew was from that and not from school.
And some of that is you trying it. Like, you have to try certain things, and I think that's one of the things that makes some of your products so good, is that you've tried things and now you kind of have a formula that really works, and you know what days, and you know how to do what really makes the designers that are going to buy your products just drool over. Chris Bernal has a question. He said, the success you see with a viral video on YouTube, so many chasing startup success. So many, I guess, people are chasing startup success and launching something to make it big. Is that, it keeps moving, is that moment of success repeatable? And I think you've seen it be repeatable, correct?
Yeah, I mean, well, here's how I look at it. So, like, the equivalent for me of like the YouTube video going viral was Creative Market featuring a product and it's selling really well because they reached out to their audience.
Mm-hmm.
That could happen to anybody, and it does. It happens every week to different people, and I'm sure they make a good amount of money. What I did differently was I realized, and this is from working for Pay to Exist, where I learned this whole blueprint for how to take advantage of this and how to utilize traffic and attention you're getting, was that when that did happen, I put some really simple things in place that helped me to make sure that it wasn't a one-time event. So part of it's luck. You can't make people choose you. You can try, but what you have to do is you have to be prepared to take full advantage of that, and that's where you can really put things in your own control and leverage it.
So you've kind of created this blueprint, and we're kind of skipping around, but you're talking about it, so I'm going to bring it up. So you've created a product called Passive Income for Designers. Is that where that blueprint is, or is that something else?
That's part of it. So I wanted to make a product like this forever, where I'm teaching designers how to get started. So it doesn't cover everything. This Passive Income for Designers, what it basically covers is how to go from I haven't made a product, I'm not even sure where to start, like I'm not sure what will sell, and I'm not sure how to even make it. So it's to help that person get to the point where they can make a product, feel confident that it has a high likelihood of selling, and release it. So yeah, it does have some of those secrets or methods in it for sure. There's other things that it doesn't cover that are something that wouldn't even be something you would want to do at this point, like how to build your email list, or
right.
Or how to like write email autoresponders, or different things like that. That wouldn't even be something you'd want to do, but it's the first steps, and it does make that feel much more comfortable to do, and it's a much easier and faster way to do it as opposed to just guessing and trying things.
And so you sent me a Gumroad, and I'm going to share that right now. So I think you said there was a little discount there. So you want to tell us about it so that if they want to
Yeah,
get it, and I'll share it again at the end if somebody missed it.
yeah. Thanks so much for sharing it. I appreciate it. So it's it's on Gumroad. It's $37 right now, and it's going to be 4 videos, transcripts of all the videos, so you can quickly reference it if you want to, along with an action-based checklist, so you can actually follow through a checklist and do each thing all the way up to launching that first product. So if you pre-order it, you get $10 off of it, and it's easily worth the investment, because if you follow it, you will easily make more than $37 using it. In fact, if you follow through on it, you'll likely make hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars.
So that's all right. So I'm trying to get back to my thing so I can see. I think I put it as a sticky message, but it is down there in the thing, and I'll plop it up there again. But that's, I think, another thing that you're really good at is figuring out what designers need. And because one of your, like, RetroLift and some of the other products that you've created are something that took you a long time and you searched for them, but you couldn't find them. So, and that was something I took your workshop at Creative South, which was awesome, by the way, and it was packed out. It was like people were sitting, and you're just a really good, genuine, likable guy. You're just awesome, Dustin. So I just appreciate, and you're humble, but you really are a really good designer. So
Thank you.
But anyway, so in that you talked about creating a product, but really figuring out what people need.
Right.
So do you want to touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, I'm finding what people actually want to buy.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. So you can't just guess what people want, and I think that a big problem is there's two problems that people have when they start trying to do this. The first one is that they have decision paralysis. So they want to do everything, like they think, what best represents me? Who am I really? And they start getting really deep into this and overthinking it, and they end up getting so overwhelmed, trying to find their identity in this thing they're making, that they end up giving up. So that's the first thing that you have to look out for and avoid. And the second thing is you can't design for yourself for the most part. You need to think about what people actually want. And the easiest way to do that is to look at what is already doing well and then find a way to differentiate yourself. And that's exactly what I talk about in this course that you just mentioned too. I go and just dig deeper into it. But you want to find things that have already sold, because you have proof, right? These things have sold. You can literally go online in certain places and you can see exactly how many have sold. You can see, what people thought of it, and you can find a way to get that information and then differentiate your product and make something unique that addresses that same pain point for people. And that solves the whole problem of will people ever buy it, because I think that as designers, we're conditioned to believe I work, right, you give me a paycheck and then I do work and I get paid either way, right? So creating something and selling it is scary because it works like this. I create it, and then maybe if I did a good job, some people will buy it. And if I didn't do a good job or I didn't understand what they wanted, I don't get any money and I'm out the work and time.
Mm-hmm.
So this kind of eliminates some of that pain, because now you can say, okay, I feel pretty confident that I know what people want, and I think that helps people overcome that fear of losing time and energy on something that doesn't work. So
Tiff Smith has a question. It was, do you consider passive income only digital products, or could physical products be considered in there as well? And she's a letterpress printer, and then also Joseph asked that, and he's a screen printer. So can you address that?
Yeah, you can absolutely make, you can absolutely make passive income if what you're doing right now is selling some sort of physical product. Obviously, if you're selling screen prints or something, you have to make the screen prints, so that's never going to be totally passive. But you could make a video teaching a technique that you're really good at on making screen prints. That would be digital, once again. But yeah, you certainly could. Or for instance, with T-shirts is an even better one. If you're willing to, outsource the actual production of the T-shirts and drop ship it,
right,
that could be a totally passive income stream. You make the designs once, you set up the infrastructure to actually sell it, and a fulfillment house, puts your logo and your packaging on it and sends it out, and that could be totally passive. If you're okay with doing that. So yeah, and the only reason I don't do that is because I started in digital goods, the business that I learned all this from sold digital goods, and there's no overhead cost on making a digital good. So once you've done that, and then like you see like physical goods, you're kind of like, I could go there, but then I have to like worry about like my margins. I have to
Right.
make a billion trips to the post office or find like a trustworthy fulfillment house. So you can absolutely do that. It just wasn't the path I took.
Exactly. And Chris says physical products are more ongoing work. And really, that's the difference between passive is that you can do it in your sleep. You're selling it in your sleep. So really, it's about taking what you know about screen printing or letterpress and making it for other people who want to learn but they aren't, or some another way for designers to use. Maybe it's a style, or it's a how to get an embossed look better, or a deboss, or something else that you're able to create, and then you spend the time to figure out that problem. And I think that what we do as designers is not passive. As when we're making something, or if we're printing something, if we're pulling screens or whatever, which is a beautiful part, and that's the art part of design, I think. But passive is that it can happen, and you can sell it, and somebody can have it in their inbox when you're asleep and you're not having to do anything regular, consistently.
Right, right,
Right?
yeah. No, yeah, that's absolutely it. And an interesting thing that I've discovered from talking to people is that oftentimes when they start creating a product like you're describing, where say they're explaining how to do some very specific thing in screen printing or something, they make sales and they get a lot more traffic and a lot more attention for that than they did for their own work in the first place. And why is that? That's because designers, other designers care more about themselves than you. They care about how can I become a better screen printer much more, or it's much easier to convince them to learn about that than to get them to just, be like, wow, I love your posters, I'm going to buy them and look at them all the time and share them with people. They want to make themselves better, and it's all about them when you're teaching. But an interesting byproduct is that those people will see your process as you teach it to them, and they'll end up becoming huge fans of your actual work. So it's an alternative path to getting people to actually love the work you're making too. So there's that benefit as well that I think a lot of designers don't see that is huge.
Right,
I mean,
absolutely.
yeah. I mean, you're basically having someone pay you to give their time to you to show, so you can basically show them how awesome you are.
That's
Right?
true, I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
So one thing I love, okay, Zach has a question. I always like to get other people's questions before mine. So Zach wants to ask, how would you advise someone who already has a few digital products but has very few sales to get more attention and more money? Is a rebrand needed?
Well, first of all, the products have to be good products. Like that's the number one thing. Like, so I think you have to take a really honest look at your competition and say, are you doing something that differentiates you, that makes you better than other people? And you have to be really honest about that. And the best way to do that might be to actually send an email to some friends that are designers and say, will you look at this product and then look at these other ones from designers that are selling similar things? Would you buy mine over these, or what makes theirs better? So that's the
Right.
first thing. Rebranding is probably not the issue. The
Right.
issue is like that can definitely help. I think that rebranding can build trust really quickly, and that's one of the huge values of it. But you have to look at your competitors. Also, if you're not getting a lot of traffic, there's all sorts of ways to get it. The lowest hanging fruit is to offer something free. Since the beginning of time, since the beginning of capitalism, free is like the magic word. Like, people go crazy when they hear free. So if you're willing to give something away for free, that's a great way to introduce them to your products and get them comfortable with you and let them, try it before they buy it, and then use that as an opportunity to build trust and then sell them something later. Another way to get traffic is to offer other people that have a lot of traffic, give them something of yours for free and let them give it to their audience. That helps them to, feed their audience who's constantly hungry for content, and then you get a free traffic source that goes back to you. And I've done that, and it's worked extremely well.
So it's a whole nother part. Like you're creating stuff, but then that's the marketing part. That's the part that makes you so awesome, is that you have figured out a way, and I think it's school, it's learning, it's continually reading and talking to other people who are also in the business or who want to it's kind of like analyzing, well, really, why isn't this product selling? Sometimes it's just that your message isn't getting out to the right audience, I think.
Absolutely.
All right,
Absolutely.
so we have a question from Radek, and he's from the Czech Republic. So
Oh,
that's
cool.
awesome. Thank you for staying up super late, I think. Dustin, I've learned a lot about growing my email list, even from you, which I have too. But how actually start with that? I guess how do you drive traffic to a website where I would offer freebies and collect emails in the first place? I already have a few products that perform quite well on markets, but I can't sell directly. And you did great. So you were a big seller on Creative Market, but then you were a big seller on Creative Market, and now you've kind of switched, and now you actually sell probably more products, which you make more money off of if you sell it directly from your website.
True. Yeah, and just to start off, like I got on Creative Market early, and they supported me a ton. I've met them multiple times, and they're easily the best place, in my opinion, to sell design goods. So I have no problem making my sales through them. I love them. I'm happy for them to take a cut of it. They deserve it. They've done a lot to. They bring you traffic, which is a very hard thing. A lot of people are talking about traffic, and sites like Creative Market do that for you. So it's absolutely worth it to have an account with someone like them and to give them a cut of it. But in terms of driving traffic to your site, the easiest thing, and no one does it, and I don't understand why more people don't do this, is you just have to tell people and give them a reason to go. So, for instance, on my bio on Creative Market, a lot of people will say this: I'm a pattern designer and I love coffee and whatever, right? Like,
Right.
that does nothing for you. Like, it's totally a waste of valuable space. You have a couple lines to talk about yourself. So here's what I put, and I think this is a much better way to do it. Offer them something that answers the question, what's in it for me? So I say something to the effect of, get 9 free retro supply goods here, and then I put the URL, and it brings them to a landing page on my site where they can sign up for my email list. In exchange, I give them a ton of free goods, and then in addition to that, I send them an email every day and give them another free good for the next 3 days. So you see what I mean? Like, a lot of people are going to see that message. Why tell them that you love coffee and that you make patterns? Like, why not tell them something that they actually can click on, right? Because, like I said before, like, places like Creative Market are generating massive amounts of traffic for you. Take advantage of it. Don't tell them something that's totally, not that doesn't do anything for you. And that applies to anything. Anytime you mention yourself anywhere, you've got to mention that call to action and give people a reason to visit your site.
Yeah, and also it's on Twitter, on your YouTube channel. You have on all your Vimeos, like some of your products. It even has another. Sometimes it'll say, "Oh, we'll go here and
Right.
get that." And so, I mean, that's how I bought more of your products sometimes, because it was just another link in a video that I had already bought, and now it's like, oh, there was something else. And I think that's a really nice. I really do like your free gifts. I like that you get for 3 days. You get that surprise kind of like, holy moly, you didn't have to do that.
Right.
And but I think that's important. It's important to have different landing pages so that you can collect to see where you're getting the most traffic from. But it's also about trying different times. Obviously, Radek, he is from the Czech Republic. He's probably not up at the same time Dustin's up, but he still is seeing Dustin's products. So Dustin's either doing something so that he's posting different times a day, or somehow you're getting connected with people that are all over the world.
Right.
That wasn't really a question, but
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure exactly. Like, I don't. There's some things that I haven't done, like, because I'm too busy, or I put it off because it sounds like a big task. And one is I don't have like multiple landing pages. I mean, if I have a very unique offer, I might have a different landing page. But for the most part, they all go through the filter of, do you
one
want these
funnel.
9 free goods? And that's the other thing, is that qualifies your traffic, right? If someone is not interested in retro design, which is what I'm selling, they're not going to sign up for 9 free retro goods because they could care less about retro goods. So I'm only getting people that have self-qualified. They've said, yes, I'm interested in retro goods. Now they're on the email list. You know that they're interested in that, right?
Right.
So make sure that what you're offering people parallels what you plan to sell to them in the future.
Right. So Brian had a question. Oops, and it's going down too far. Looking at the competition, is that the way you price your goods, or is it something else? Can you talk about maybe how you priced it in the beginning and then how you price it now?
Yeah, so pricing, like I think especially for designers, tend to undervalue themselves. And that's not in design goods, I mean just in general. They undervalue themselves because they're scared of asking for more. So I had that same problem. When I first started, I was selling design goods. I think I started with like $5 or $7, and I seriously thought about dropping it. And then I realized people really love this, and I was selling a ton of it, and so I raised it to like 10, then 12, then 15. And what you're trying to do is, I heard a great piece of advice, and it said, don't sell something based on like how many hours it took you to create it. Sell something based on the value it provides to the customer. So if I have a set that's going to save them hours of fiddling around trying to figure something out, that's worth a lot. So if they charge $30 an hour and it would take them an hour on one client to fiddle around trying to get this texture effect, and they can buy my product and it costs them $15, well then they've just got a fantastic deal because they're going to use that over and over and save time. So I try to price based on that, but you also have to look at your competitors. And I do have people that do similar things to me. So if you're going to go higher than your competitors, you have to price high and justify, right? So you can price higher, but then you've got to give more. So you've got to give maybe video tutorials and more in-depth PDF files explaining it and more resources. So you can charge whatever you want, but it needs to be justified through what you're offering.
Right. All right. So, what do you continue to seek out other kinds of learning opportunities for you to make sure that you're either getting in touch with designers and still solving problems, or for business stuff? Because passive income, I mean, Pat Flynn, he's somebody who you and I both follow.
Yeah, I love Pat Flynn.
Always coming out with awesome stuff. He has Smart Passive Income. It's a podcast. He's a great website, smartpassiveincome.com. He does a lot of periscopes now too. And so, are you continually learning and using some of those things, or is there anything you can share with us that we could read or learn?
Yeah, there's so many I love. Okay, so Pat Flynn's podcast is amazing. I listen to that as I run every week. In fact, I think it comes out tomorrow. You can listen to a new one, but he also has a whole backlog of them, so you can listen to all of them for free. So Pat Flynn's a great one. Social Triggers is another blog. Derek Halpern's Social Triggers. He goes more into the psychology of buying. That's a really useful one. I have a subscription to like a free book service. Well, the one that most people know of is Audible. And I'll just get books on copywriting, get books on selling. And if you want a game changer, like if you haven't heard of Seth Godin, go buy books from Seth Godin. Like Seth Godin will change your life. He's probably one of the most successful, well-known marketers of all time, wouldn't you say?
Yes.
I mean, the guy's like the rock star of marketing. His books are the kind of books where you read them for like 10 minutes and then you kind of get where you need to put them down and go do something because you feel so filled with great ideas. Like, that's how it is. So go buy any Seth Godin book, like Purple Cow or Free Prize Inside. There's a ton of them.
He does.
He does a great job.
The Icarus Deception, that was a really good one too.
Icarus Deception, yeah. Or Linchpin.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically anything. Like, you could literally just randomly put your finger on one of his books and it's probably going to change your world, because he does such a good job of explaining how to sell, how to market without feeling like a sham wow sleazy guy when you do it.
Right. And he also gives content away every day, and he sends me an email. He sends lots of people emails, but I get an email, and it's also focused to me. It's not like, hey, everyone. And I think that's when you're starting out, you kind of get in. When you're an email list, it's kind of hard to you're talking to everybody, but you have to really focus it hey, it's to you. And sometimes they're a little bit longer, sometimes they're shorter, but I got an email back from him because my sister met him at a conference and I saved it, and I was like, oh, this is awesome.
That is so
Anyway,
funny because I have a similar story. So I wrote him one time just saying thanks for something, not expecting anything back. Within like, I think like 15 minutes, he responded back. Then I wrote him for business advice about something, and he wrote me like a 4-paragraph email back. And this is a guy who's probably getting maybe thousands of emails a day from people, and he's responding to everything. So, I mean, he really cares about the people that he serves, and yeah, I mean, just Seth Godin alone could totally change your business.
yeah, yeah. And again, what I like to say is, hey, it's not just about design. You've got to step out of the industry and you've got to get into some other business kind of things. I think some designers can put their feet back a little bit because maybe they don't work good with math or don't feel smart enough or whatever. It has nothing to do. It's like once you understand, you start selling stuff for clients, you have to have that marketing stuff, and you either get it from experience and from making mistakes, or you can get some of it from just learning. And these people like Derek Halpern puts out a video every week and a newsletter. And again, these people are doing it really well, and they've been doing it. I think Pat Flynn's been doing it since like '08 maybe.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's just somebody to keep up. So what was your first idea, and was your first idea your first product?
My first idea, like for retro supply?
Yeah.
Yeah. Something I learned when I worked for Pay to Exist was, so we had a course, and the course still exists. It's called Trailblazer, and it takes people from no idea at all to releasing a passive income product that they love based on their passion. Or I guess it's not necessarily passive income, but creating a product they love based on their passion. And so I worked in this business, and I saw hundreds of entrepreneurs going through this process, and the thing they get stuck on is deciding on a product. So I knew, like, I was, like I said, desperate when I started Retro Supply. I knew that I couldn't think or filter what I was making. I needed to get something out, get feedback on it, and make adjustments. So I put that product out, and I just thought, I'm going to find out if people love this or hate this, and I'm going to adjust accordingly. But yeah, so my first product that I put out was the first thing I made. I made it, I committed to it, and I sent it out. Was it my favorite thing ever? No, it wasn't my favorite thing I've ever made, and it still isn't my favorite thing I've ever made. But you just have to get it out. You have to get it out and move on and learn from it.
Well, and it's also about committing to getting it out into the right audience and doing the work that it takes, because it's not just for us. I think that's been one of my biggest issues is, I just made it, it's ready, but I haven't told anybody about it, and I want it to be successful. But that's where the marketing kind of comes in, because we like showing stuff to clients and getting the response back, and they love it, and then some of us kind of just let it go from there, and we don't touch back with our client and make a case study out of what we were working on, so that there's a disconnect for a lot of designers, and I've been guilty of this. So it's kind of like we have to kind of measure to see what was really good for that market, and you have to be able to do that for you. And if it's not working, kind of like Zach was saying, hey, I have some products, they're probably great products, but he just hasn't gotten them in the right to the right people.
Right. Yeah, you might have the wrong fit, or you might be emphasizing the wrong part of your offer. Maybe people aren't interested in, I don't know. You have to try different offers. And a great way to do that is to test things. You can ask people. People are generally like honored or thrilled to give you their feedback. So if you say, hey, like I saw you looked at this, you didn't buy it, will you tell me why? It won't hurt my feelings. I really want to know so I can make this better. And you'll be amazed at what people will tell you. I send out surveys all the time, and I say, what do you love? Like, what made you buy? What pushed you over? Or what don't you like? Or what am I doing wrong? Or what do you wish I would change? And people will get really blunt with you. And if you can just be okay with that, like, people will tell you what to do to sell products.
Well, and you also ask prices. I got a survey from you. It was like, hey, there's this, what would you pay for something like this? And so it's not like your 10-question survey. I mean, these are really fast.
Right.
That's another thing. You're making it easy for us as your consumers to respond back. Like, hey, it's another email from Dustin. I always get good stuff when I get emails. You're not oversaturating my email box, I guess. I'm not getting, so I think that's another important thing. But your survey was like, well, how much would you pay? And then tell me why. And I thought that was good.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And Speaking of that, like pricing is one of those things. Like some people will say, well, the best price is always zero, right? But that's not your customer. Like your customer isn't the person that says the best price is zero. Like, but for a lot of people, price is really important. I was talking to one of my good friends, Brad Woodard, the other day, and we were talking about price, and he said, you know, if I see two fonts and one's free and one costs $49, all things being equal, I'll buy the one that's $49. And the reason is because like there's a perceived perception of value in something that costs money. You're more likely to use it because you want to get your money's worth out of it. And you just feel like it's probably better made. So pricing is important.
And you also have a guarantee. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, so that's another one of these psychological things in selling. So the whole point of selling something is like when someone's making a buying decision, just like picture back to your mind to like the last purchase you made on Amazon or something, right? And you're afraid, right? You hate. I hate parting with my money. I hate giving my money away. So I hate pushing that button and being like, yes, like I'm checking out, right? So you have to get people over that hump, and you've got to encourage them and show and convince them that it's going to be worth it for them. And a big part of that is reversing the risk. So you want to put all the risk on yourself so they feel comfortable purchasing. And one way to do that is through a guarantee. So I have something I call the retro supply better than money back guarantee. And it's this guarantee that basically says if you buy a product, if for any reason you don't like it, if you open it and just say, hey, you know what, I'm not feeling this, if you use it for a couple weeks and decide, you know what, like I just decided it's not for me, just send me an email. You can just say, you know what, this wasn't right for me, and I'll send you your money back and you keep the product. And it's seriously no hard feelings because you took a chance on me, you bought my product, and I'm happy to refund money to someone that took that risk. But that's a psychological thing to help to eliminate the risk for people.
Right.
Right? Because where's the risk? They can buy it, and if they don't like it, I'll give them their money back. There's no risk to it.
Right, absolutely, which I think is terrific. So you once told me that you really didn't feel like you didn't consider yourself a designer, which I, of course, laughed because I, of course, think of you as a designer. And you have inspiring your work. I love that aesthetic as well. So, and I really find it remarkable because your product images are super impactful, moving. I love the half split, you know, and I'll pull something up that is a half split to kind of show what we're talking about. But because you do these awesome pieces like this, the before after, and that's one of like your things that helps sell your product. Because hey, it's like so. Even your products do this, but the passive income stuff does this as well. Your product that does that teaches us how to do this. But really, I like it because it really gives me hope that I can make this, that I could create something like that cover image. So to me, all these products, if it's a font, oh cool, I don't have to make that shadow or I don't have to make that whatever by hand. I can actually use this. But for these, it's like, hey, this is going to save me time, but it gives me hope that I'm going to be able to do this. So do you want to talk a little bit about maybe why you felt like you weren't a designer?
Yeah, I guess I had a lot of inadequacy because I had a business degree. I went to community college to study design, which I was like insanely embarrassed about. Like I hated to bring up. Like I'd always just say I went to college for it. But I decided like I need to embrace this because there's a lot of people that didn't go to the whatever the fancy school is, Rhode Island School of Design, or like whatever fancy school that people go to that make me feel inadequate, right? So like I always felt like, wow, you know, I went to school for like 9 months for this. I was with like a bunch of 18-year-olds and I was like 25. I didn't know what to do, you know, when I start working with clients, like what's the best process to develop a logo for someone? What's the best way to deliver files? And I did eventually figure a lot of that out by working in-house at some places, but I just felt like, wow, some people have 4 years under their belt or 6 years under their belt. And the thing is that you can become an amazing designer going to school, no doubt about it. Like it can be like a fast forward button for your design skills, right? But at the same time, I've seen people that like just like coasted through design school, and then I see someone that didn't go to design school, and they're killing it compared to this person that went to design school. So if you're someone out there that like didn't go to design school and you learn from Linda or from online tutorials, like don't make you believe that like you're not a designer or that you're not as good as someone else, because you totally are. It's all about being passionate about it and working on it, right?
Right.
And the same for people that did go. You can become an amazing designer going to school if you take advantage of it and do it right.
Yeah, it's kind of like a moving sidewalk. You can go fast, but you can run just as fast next to the moving sidewalk. It's just about your drive.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah, yeah. And I'm sure you see that all the time, being a professor of design. Like
Right.
some people love it, right? And like they just kill it. Like I see some work behind you, and you showed me some work the other day when we were talking that some of your students had made,
Right.
and it's like amazing. Like some people just live and breathe it, and they're going to kill it in their careers. And then some people are probably going to end up changing careers. Maybe, I don't
And
know.
some people can't deal with the rejection, and that's part of that, being able to ask for feedback and get real feedback and not just needing praise. And Rob says he learned more on his own than he did in college, and there are a lot of people who are like that. I learned a lot more about business than obviously I did in college, so it's really important that you keep learning. It's not something that you graduate and you are done. But I want to go back to something else real quick.
Sure.
It was about the getting a refund. So Radic Act, or I'm sorry if I'm saying your name wrong. I'm so sorry. Do they actually ask for refunds? And then Eric says, what about using reputation reviews and free updates as a guarantee instead of money back? So it's kind of like two different plays off of that. And somebody asked, I think Jeremy says, well, how many people take you up on that guarantee?
Right. Yeah, so as far as like the reviews and different things, I think of it like a scale, right? There's the fear of losing your money or parting with your money, and then there's all the things that I can stack on to convince you to make a purchase, right? So the guarantee is one, right? The reviews are another. The social proof is another. Um, Seeing like links to my site on reputable sites is another. So you don't just want to count on one, you want to have a lot of them. So like for instance, I have reviews on my site, and they're almost all 5-star or 4.5-star, by the way, and good reviews. But I do get some bad reviews, and I keep them on. And the reason is because people expect to see bad reviews. If you don't, you feel like I'm gaming the system. So
Right.
I love bad reviews. Bad reviews help me get better. They show customers that I'm not just like like filling my reviews with fake reviews or something like that. Um, but no, I do both. And as far as giving refunds, it's very, very rare. I would say one in maybe 30 or 40 people might ask for a refund. It's very, very rare. And the difference in sales is just like crazy ridiculous. Like your sales, it makes up for your sales like probably 10x's for every person that wants a refund. You've made 10 additional sales because of that same guarantee. So it's a moneymaker.
And your guarantee isn't like connected to 30 days or anything. Or is there?
It was originally like unlimited. I think that on some pages I put 90. Like I sold like everything that I've ever created, right, at a
Right.
huge discount. And then I think on that I put a 90-day deadline. The reason being because I felt like, you're getting everything. You're getting everything I've made, and you're getting it at like a gigantic discount, which is something I very rarely do. I do this like twice a year for just like 3 or 4 days. So I did put a deadline on that, but I tried to make it a really long one. So 90 days. But yeah, for the most part, like for a normal product, the return policy is forever. And
Right.
if someone asked, I just give it to them. I don't want to. I'm not trying to like be rough, tough about that. I want people to be happy, and I want them to buy again or tell people that they had a positive experience. So I've never had to tell someone, no, I'm not giving you a refund, or don't talk to me, or I'm blocking you. Like you just try to be really nice to people, and take care of them. And most people are really cool back. So
Are you doing most of this customer service or on your own, or do you have somebody that does that? Do you have a virtual assistant? I mean, or are you just doing everything?
I had a virtual assistant, and she worked great. And the problem was that I had a lot of technical questions coming in, and she'd end up forwarding 60 to 70% of the technical questions to me. So it just became a crazy game of telephone. So I brought it back to myself. But I am hiring right now, and I'm kind of waiting because we're in the process of having a house built, and mortgage companies like watching my finances, and I don't want to surprise them and be like, surprise, like 2 new employees. But I need to hire a support person and a designer because it's to the point where it's I can't stay on top of everything.
Right. So, all right. So let's go through a couple images just to show everybody, I know we have 8 minutes left, and then I'm gonna go through. I'll ask you a couple. If while we're looking at these and talking, can you talk about your how do you determine success? So what do you know maybe when a successful project or product is, and then when will you feel successful? Because I think it's hilarious that you thought your family had bought all 800 and something dollars, and that wasn't like, hey, this is a good, and it was after you'd made like $1,200 or $1,500. So talk a little bit about this. I'm going to pull these images. It's going to take a second. I got to switch back. So
Okay. So you want to know when I knew that I was successful?
Sure.
Oh, okay. The moment when I really knew I was successful was when I knew that for the next, I think it was like 3 or 6 months, that I didn't have to worry about making money. I knew if everything stops right now, I can coast off of the money I made for 6 months. That was a huge moment for me, to not have to worry about next month anymore. Like that's, some of us spend our whole lives trying to get out of that trap of like living paycheck to paycheck. So that was an amazing moment. Another amazing moment was we were, like I've said, $30,000 in credit card debt, more than that, a little bit. And I remember when I was able to send them a full payment for what we owed, and that felt so good. Anyone who has any credit card debt knows, like, these guys are so, so aggressive on you. I mean, we weren't behind on payments, but you just feel trapped, and to give them that felt hugely successful. I felt like 1,000 pounds had been lifted off my shoulders. So that was a huge moment too.
All right, so let's go through some of these images, and then you can kind of tell us about them as we go, if there's anything to tell.
Okay. Okay, so sorry, it's like small on my screen, but
sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, you can click the little thing, and it'll come up big. Do you see that?
Let me try. Oh, cool. The computer didn't explode or something.
Right. No, they all see it big, but we're going to end in about 6 minutes, Chris, just so you know.
Okay. I'll go quick here. So yeah, this is just an example of a product. This one's called the Atomic Age Print Pack, and basically it was like based off of this idea that I loved, like old kids packaging from like the 1950s, kind of post-war style. So what it does is it creates an effect of like a piece of packaging that is, been sitting in a drawer for 50 or 60 years, which
Right.
we at my grandmother's house where we were a lot a couple years ago, I would see things like this all the time, and so I just wanted to recreate something like that.
So then there's a picture of you. I think that's next.
Yeah,
Close up.
yeah, I just put
I don't
that.
know.
I wasn't sure if that would be in the beginning or what, but yeah, this is a gigantic picture of me. Here's me, and this is my daughter, who was a big inspiration to start Retro Supply. She's 2 years old now with a gigantic ice cream Oreo. But
she's either really tiny or that's a really big cookie.
yeah, it's a really big cookie. Yeah, she's loving it.
That's good.
This is again me and my wife Soila and my daughter Ella again, and I think we're by where our house is being built there.
Cool. So this is another before and after, and this has been really helpful in helping you to sell the product because we feel like we can do it because we see what happens.
Absolutely. It's just like it's proof that it works. So yeah, I put that in there because these kind of things, no matter what you do, whatever you're selling, doesn't have to be a a Photoshop action or something like that. Show them like what they're going to get. Show them the result, the outcome that they're going to get. And I try to do that as much as I can.
You also write a lot in the description. So you have videos, you write a description because some people would rather watch the video, some people just want to read it. So you're actually hitting a lot of people's how they this is tiny. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I gave these all to you, so this is, if they're tiny, it's my bad. This was just the logo for my failed startup, but I put that in there. So this was the whole thing that put me in the position where I desperately needed to make something to make money.
So do you think this is your biggest? No, this isn't. This is before you got Retro Supply going. So what do you think is your biggest failure with Retro Supply? And not that this product that I have on screen is now, but it wasn't.
Yeah, I don't know. Probably my biggest failure with Retro Supply has been not scaling as efficiently as I wish I had. And I'm just learning that now. That's something I didn't read a lot about or learn about. But in order to grow, you have to have people help you, and you have to be willing to transfer responsibility to other people and trust them. And I'm just starting to do that, and it's amazing the results you get when you start to do that. So that was probably my biggest failure.
And I think you're always going to be learning something. That's what makes it us grow. You know, you're never going to be done.
Absolutely, yeah.
So do you want to talk about this piece?
Yeah, so this is the best-selling thing I've ever made. Aside from buying my whole pack, that if you buy my whole pack, that costs hundreds of dollars, and that obviously makes a lot of money because it costs so much. But this is my best-selling pack. It's called the Mid-Century Print Pack, and as you can see, like, this really embodies like what people are oftentimes buying. They're trying to capture that really authentic look of old print work. And you can see in the before, like, it looks very digital, right? That's how everything looks when we create it in Illustrator or Photoshop. And the products that I offer help you to get these really subtle things that you might mess around with for hours trying to figure out and not even get close. So yeah, this has been particularly this image has helped to sell a lot of products.
And that pack's like $79, right?
I believe 79, yeah.
I think I just bought it. That's why I think it's pretty sure it's 79.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
It was fun to play with. So your illustrations are also really, really good. Are you doing all these illustrations? I know some stuff is okay. So
yeah,
you want to talk about that a little bit?
Like, some illustrations I'm doing. Some illustrations are clip art. Particularly, I've amassed a gigantic library of real 1940s, 30s, 40s, and 50s clip art. Like, I've bought 1940s catalogs online, and I use that clip art so it's all like real, authentic. Other pieces I've gotten like by searching through clip art sites for what looked to me to be real stuff, and then I combine that with like my own design sensibilities. But I'm not an illustrator, so anything that's like a drawing, I probably didn't do. Or for instance, in this image, this was when I started outsourcing some. So Amy Hood from Chutzpah Design, who are amazing, by the way, she did these illustrations, and she did them way better than I ever could. So that goes to show what happens when you start to defer to people that are better than you at things. She made these, and she killed it. So
she's awesome. Both her and Jen are awesome. So this is the passive income. I'm going to share that link again. I think I still have it. Okay. Yep, I just shared it again, I think.
Yep, and that's the cover for the product. And like I said, this isn't for someone that's making a bunch of money online selling design goods. This is for someone who is listening to this right now and is interested and saying, I'd love to try this out. I'd love to make a product and see what happens. And I want to have an easier, faster way to do it without as much risk and guessing involved. I've made a lot of mistakes, and you can avoid a ton of them by getting this course. So it's $37, $10 off if you get it now.
So, and then you also have DustinLee.co, where you write about a lot of passive income stuff for creatives, and I just shared that link as well.
Awesome. Yeah, and that's a site that is not fully launched, but I have a landing page where you can sign up, and that's really, really close. So yeah, sign up, and I'll be sending stuff out soon.
All right. So then,
I was going to say this is the first product that actually made like a lot of money. This was a 3D effect, and I actually in the course I'm going to go into exactly how I found this product. This product wasn't a guess. I was fairly confident this would sell really well when I made it because of this system that I used to determine what will sell well.
So one of the things is also is your wording. Again, I think that comes back to the marketing background. And I don't care if it's community college, if it was offering books. I believe that that's where we're learning from each other. So it's a valid education if it's all books or if it's all whatever. But I think one thing you do great is you make it really simple, and it makes it like, hey, with one click. And I think that and you keep it short and simple so that I know I could do it too, which I think is really helpful. And I'm going to also share your Retro Supply company. So retrosupply.co is where you can get a ton of his products. And you do also have a lot of videos that go along with those. So this is paid to exist, I guess, right?
This is the site where I learned like everything. I feel like this changed my life. Working for this business and seeing behind the scenes of how it worked helped me to understand how to market to people and how to sell. So I highly recommend this site. He teaches the same stuff that he teaches on the back end that I saw right here on this site. And I know that for a fact because I've seen both sides. He's not hiding anything behind a curtain from you. You can learn a world of things about marketing from this site. So
Cool. You just have a cute couple more.
yeah, this is just an example of a font one where if we had more time, I'd talk more about this. We had I believe that differentiating yourself and standing out is really important. People have one little thing they can think about you in your head. You know, you're the retro guy, or you're this guy, or you're that guy. And I try to be the quirky retro guy. So I made something that I thought was unique that no one else would make because it was so weird. And that was, instead of getting a black letter and being like, you can use this for death metal album covers, I decided I'll position this as this is a pessimistic black letter script for people that have bad news that they need to deliver. And that's helped it to stand out, you know, because it's a fun way for people to look at it. So
That's hilarious. Okay, so, and I also have this one too. I like this one.
oh yeah, thanks. This is a really interesting one. Another thing that helps to sell products is novelty. If you can find something very unique to captivate people's attention. This product was made from I have it somewhere here, a post-war like 1947 or something like that, Army surplus catalog. I ended up paying almost $200 for this catalog on eBay. Like I got into like a bidding war with like 3 people for this catalog. And then what I did is I sampled the proportions of the halftones and used some of the halftones from it to create these basically blob brushes where you can just swipe on real halftones that are literally built from an old 1947 catalog that I paid way too much for.
I was trying to zoom in, but I guess it won't let me zoom. But
But
it is really cool, and it's brushes that are making these lines. Some are lines, some are halftones, which is super great.
yeah. And this is a new thing I'm really excited about. So like I said, I've been collecting all of these real, authentic, vintage clip art for almost a year now. And I'm going to be releasing a site in the very near future called Vintagely, vintage.ly. And it's going to be filled with these images. And all these images I've brought them all through IP lawyers. I've had IP lawyers carefully look through them and make sure that they're graded as safe to use in your work. Which is the main thing that stops people from using these, right?
Right.
It's very hard to track is it public domain, is it orphan works, is it copyrighted? So what we did is we had IP lawyers basically grade the works on how safe they were. Because most you can't know for sure unless they're more than, I think, 70 or 80 years old. But they've all been graded as being most likely safe, and the licenses go more into that. But I'm really excited because it's this gigantic library of beautiful retro images. So you know, buy clip art from there, or you can just go there and browse it and get ideas for your own illustrations.
Cool. And I shared the link also, so we should be, hopefully. And I think that was it. So, Dustin, I just wanted to tell you thanks again so much. We didn't get through everything, but so tell us real quick what's next for you or your company. Is the Vintagely, that's something you've been working on a ton. Is that what's next, or?
That's what's next as far as like an extension of expanding Retro Supply. The other thing that's next is I've made all the products for Retro Supply up until a few months ago, and now I'm starting to move into having some really amazing designers create things. For instance, Amy Hood created a font. Von Glitchka just released with me a vector brush set. I have some amazing like pens, like brush type pens for doing children's illustrations that a guy named Brad Woodard from Brave the Woods is creating. So I have something maybe from, well, I probably shouldn't say until I know for sure, but I have a lot of amazing designers who I'm going to start releasing products from. So Retro Supply is going to kind of shift from just products from me to very, very highly curated, cream of the crop products from designers who wouldn't typically release digital products. So I'm really excited about that too.
And Derek asked, a retro aesthetic is great and used quite a bit. Do you have plans for future other looks to stay ahead of the curve? And I think that's one of those things, right?
Yeah. I definitely plan to go that route in the future. But I also believe that retro is not going to go out of style. That's my opinion. Hipster retro is going to go out of style. But if you look back for the past 100 years, we're always trying to recreate and be influenced by historical design. Like, I mean, you teach this, don't you? Teach historical design,
Yeah.
right? So
Right.
we're always going to be influenced by that. I'm not saying to make things that look retro. I'm saying, bring history into your work. We're all working digitally. Get tools that are going to help to recreate where design came from, which is, ink on paper.
Right. Well, I just wanted to tell you thank you again, Dustin. And if you guys want to watch I have some other great interviews with Von Glitch was a couple weeks ago. So you guys can check out a lot of other. This is my 3 years. It's a little over 3 years I've been doing this. So check it out. You can also just go to rechargingyou.com. If you have a question just for me, you can do Diane@designrecharge.org or Diane@rechargingyou.com. I check both of them every day, so I'm ready to answer your emails. And then you can also check out my product, which is findingyoursuperpower.com, and you get some three free videos if you sign up. So if you just want to join the email list, you can do that, and you can check it out at findingyoursuperpowers.com. So thank you, Dustin. You were awesome. I'm super excited. It's always good. You always are energizing to me to have you on the show. So thank you. And thank you guys for coming from all over the world. I saw Lorenzo. He's from Thailand, I believe. So we had tons of people from all over. So thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, Diane, for having me on. It's been so good to get to know you, and I seriously am honored to be on the show. So thank you for that.
Well, I'm honored to have you on, and we'll have to do it again. So, and hopefully I'll see you at Creative South next year.
For sure.
All right. I'll see you guys next week. I have one of my friends that I met at another conference who is Native American. He travels around the country, and he does these collaborative art pieces. So it's more artsy, but I always think it's good to have art in design. So it's a little bit of culture, maybe something you're not super familiar with, but it's really neat little, maybe not little, I shouldn't say little because it's huge because he wraps these cars. So it's neat. Check it out. Same time next week, 2:30 Eastern, 11:30 Pacific. See you guys.